I take, I'm getting closer to God. Yeah, I made plenty mistakes, but he know who we are. Reminded me of my purpose when he left me a scar. My life could have been over.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. I'm so surprised that I've been reviewing fragrances now for months. This is my 50th video, and I've never done a Tom Ford fragrance. Tom Ford has clearly carved himself a nice chunk out of the men's fashion market, as well as a nice chunk out of the designer and niche perfume market. And we've talked about him as a designer for Gucci and creative director for Gucci and Saint Laurent, but we haven't talked about Tom Ford brand on its own and the mark he's made on the fragrance world. And Tom Ford, before we talk about the fragrances, let me just say how much I respect him as a designer, as an executive, as a film director, and as a man who really took charge of his life and parlayed an internship at Chloe and an entry-level position at Perry Ellis into creating just a wonderful space for himself out there. I don't heap a lot of praise on designers, but Ford has been one that I've really admired for a long, long time. And well, at Gucci and Saint Laurent, I really liked a lot of the clothing that he made. So bravo to him. Now, in 2005, Ford went out on his own and started the Tom Ford label. And he started producing ready-to-wear pieces for men, accessories, sunglasses, and fragrances. And the fragrances came from a partnership that was formed by Estee Lauder, who holds the license to the Ford fragrance name. And the first fragrance they released in 2006 was Black Orchid. That was actually marketed to women. If you go to the women's section of Sephora, you'll find it there. I happen to love Black Orchid, and will probably be one of the first fragrances for women that I buy for myself. It's beautiful. It's a dark floral scent that has notes of patchouli and dark chocolate and incense and amber. It's gothic-like, something that I could see, you know, vampires wearing along with Check and Speak's 88. So I'll definitely be getting that in the future. Then Ford did a couple of men's scents, Tom Ford Extreme, Grey Vetiver, most recently Tom Ford Noir. And I'm not going to lie, none of those have really piqued my interest. I've seen and smelled them at Sephora, and you know, they're sort of, those scents are available at Sephora and department stores, but those have a high-end price for designer fragrances, right up there with brands like Hermes. I think $100 for 75 ml and $135 for 100 ml, and to me, with the exception of Black Orchid, they might not be worth it. But in 2007, Ford introduced a prestige line of his fragrances called the Tom Ford Private Blend line. And we've seen a lot of designers do this. Chanel has the exclusive line. Armani has the Privy line. Almost every major designer out there has a higher-end line that usually their boutiques carry, or high-end department stores. Like Tom Ford Private Blend isn't at Sephora. You need to go to Saks or Bloomingdale's or a boutique to get this. The first release in the Private Blend series was Purple Patchouli in 2007, and since then they've added an additional 30 or so Private Blend fragrances, which now includes the Jardin line for men, women, or both, unisex scents. Some of the scents, like Japan Noir and Bois Marocain, have been discontinued. A lot of the fragrance of the fragrance community have been discontinued, but you've still got some great, really heavy hitters to sniff through to find the ideal scent for you. Now, I think the most popular, without a doubt, especially within Fragcom, is Tobacco Vanille. I like Tobacco Vanille a lot, but I don't think I'm as gaga for it as everyone else is. I think there's other scents like it, and I would say it's not necessarily unique enough for me to run out and buy, but I do get why people like it. But there's something that keeps me personally distanced from really embracing the Tom Ford Private Blend line, and that's the pricing. It's prohibitive to say the least. 50 mLs goes for $210, 100 mLs $290, and you can get a flat cone, 250 mLs, for $510. So a lot of people online split those, and that way you can get the juice for a lot less money. So I went through the line not too long ago. A sales associate at Bloomingdale's was very sweet and helpful, went through everything with me, and I took some time. You know, the scent is $200. Usually I've got to mull it over and really decide if I want that one. And if it's a fragrance house that I'm new to, I want to make sure I'm grabbing the right bottle. Now, I had a decant of Tobacco Vanille, as I said. I don't love it, so I knew I wasn't going to be getting that one yet. I like Lavender Palm, but I pretty recently picked up Check and Speak's Oxford and Cambridge, which is $150 for 100 ml, and I think it's a better scent. Then I smelled Oud Wood, and for those of you who saw my sample shopping videos, you know I'm not a fan of Oud, basically. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So me and Oud were having a hard time. We weren't vibing, but then I smelled this one, and I found it to be clean and fresh, and a scent that could be worn year-round. So it really came down to either this one for me, Noir Noir, or Tuscan Leather. And I heard online in fragrances group that oud wood might be discontinued in the future, and so I wound up picking it up, 50 ml for $210. I do have Tuscan Leather on my buy list, and Noir de Noir, and possibly Tobacco Vanille, because those are all three really good scents. I really like Tuscan Leather. And as far as why I got the 50 ml, as I said a million times, sometimes I'll jump for the 100 ml, almost all the time with Creed and with Amouage when the difference is less than $50. But, you know, when this is your like 120th, 130th bottle, I think 50 ml is probably enough for me, especially because this is a eau de parfum and will last a long time. So as far as your presentation of oud wood goes, standard Tom Ford box, padded inside, gold, and a barcode, batch code on the bottom, and then the oud wood bottle, the 50 ml bottle, very nice, heavy, apothecary style, dark brown, black glass with oud wood written. And then the Tom Ford samples are just great. They're 4 ml each. This is Tobacco Vanille, another one, and this is Tuscan Leather. So 8 ml of samples is, you know, not bad for buying a bottle. And then of course I got samples of Noir and Black Orchid. So presentation is pretty nice for the Tom Ford scents. The flacons are really beautiful, very heavy glass. Notes on this fragrance are going to be rosewood, cardamom, Chinese pepper, oud wood, vetiver, sandalwood, tonka bean, vanilla, and amber. Pretty simple. And this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous scent. I've read online that people say Tom Ford's private blend series are really overpriced, and as I said, for the most part I totally agree, but not on this one. This has such a beautiful quality to it. The oud is by no means front and center. It's far distant, far in the back, but its mark is clearly all over the scent, even if it's way in the back. Really what I get in this fragrance at the top is creamy sandalwood and amber, a bit of spice from the Chinese pepper, which makes it a tad medicinal in a good way, and that oud. That oud is here, and it's just tolerable enough for me. If you don't like oud but are sort of intrigued by oud scents, this may be one you might want to check out. I think they've surrounded the oud here with enough other complementary notes to the point that they've made it very tolerable to anyone who can appreciate a darker, sort of more complex fragrance than what's become the standard from designer releases. This scent has a quality to it that if you've ever been in the country and suburbs outside of the city when it rains, I'm not talking about a sun shower or a quick flash, but a warm summer day when it just sorts of been raining all day and the air has this earthy, damp, and dank and dark sort of quality, that exists in this fragrance. It's a wearable scent, but it's also a piece of art. Tom Ford said the impetus behind the private blend line was to please real fragrance connoisseurs, and I consider myself one of those, and he's done a very good job with this. You've also got vanilla and tonka bean on the back end, and just the slightest insinuation of something very sweet and rich, and then just a mere touch of smoky soapiness, if that makes sense. Almost like an earthy freshness. This is great projection and longevity with this scent, 8 to 10 hours. I think 2 sprays on the chest is enough. I think this is more masculine, but a really confident, independent woman could pull this off. But I think it's more geared towards guys, and there's something very attractive about the way it smells, almost like pheromone. I think it's just very raw and masculine, and I think it's a perfect scent to go out for dating or you know, going out. I think it just has something very special to it, but only if you don't over-apply it. And as I said, this is a scent I'm going to wear when I want to be at my most masculine. I think that this could be a great workplace scent, throw in a suit or a cigar bar, something like that, going out for steak. I wouldn't wear this just because on a normal day. The price, you know, 50 ml for $210 is pricey, but I think this is special stuff, and I don't want to become accustomed to wearing it on a daily basis. To me, at least, you know, this is special enough to only break out in special occasions, perhaps even, you know, dressed up, not just on a normal day. There's definitely some magic to oud, and I think, unfortunately, not enough perfumers have figured out how to unlock that without either making a scent that's just too much or a scent that isn't enough. I think this is sort of the just right Goldilocks balance. It's an oud scent that has some serious, somber, mature, and sophisticated nuances, but it's still wearable and something that the wearer doesn't have to feel self-conscious about having on. Sometimes with that heavy animalic stuff, I wonder if people really think that it smells great, or they just want to show their fragrance maturity. And I'm not about that. I only wear fragrances. I only buy fragrances that I can wear, and I'm only going to wear fragrances that I like, to be honest with you. And for Tom Ford to produce an oud one, I'm just so passionate about. It says a lot to me. I don't love the price point, and I think the presentation is fine, but I think that By Kilian kind of set a bar at a 50 ml bottle at a $200 price point for kind of really high-end packaging and presentation, and I don't feel like this meets that standard. So even though the scent's great, I wish that the private blend packaging was just maybe a little bit nicer, a little bit bigger box, or maybe more elegant box and bottle. But still, you know, $200 for this I think is a great deal, and I feel like I'm in a golden period of fragrance reviews. You know, Eau Sauvage last week, Oud Wood this week, next week it's going to be Cartier's Roadster, and I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. It's a perfect scent for me. You know, the only thing I could quibble about is the price and a little bit about the presentation, but I would probably want this at any price. I think it's just that good of a fragrance, and I don't think there's anything else like it. I don't think anyone else has taken oud and made it be really fresh. Normally you see oud with a lot of animal notes, or oud that you know, has something else funky to it, leather or roses, or just something that is really extreme. No one's really tried to tame oud down and really tame it down and just make it smell like almost fresh and refreshing. And I think this is the first time I've seen that, and because of that, it's completely original, and it deserves that 9 out of 10. So definitely check this out, and check it out before they discontinue it or reformulate it. I mean, I know there are still bottles available. They were at Bloomingdale's, at least. There was lots of them in 50 ml, 100 ml, and in the flacons. So go get one before it's too late, because this is one you will definitely regret. I can guarantee you that. Anyway, that is going to be this week's video. 3 videos will be coming up next week. We'll be doing a sample shopping episode in the middle of the week, part 3 of the collection video towards Friday, and then a review next week of Cartier's Roadster. So that's another remarkable scent. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode of Maximilian Must Know. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me at the address in the description. And thank you all so much for watching. I am Maximilian, and I must
good in my cup. I got somebody at home, but shorty, she trying to cut. Avoiding temptation. It's hard enough in this world that's inviting Satan to our living rooms. Hypnotized by the box with the voices.